gang, gang. Hey, nothing but love and respect. You might have some cool fans, but mine are the best. We've been through it all, went to war when duty called. Never left a man behind, we move as one is super strong. I don't want followers, that implies I'm the leader. I'm not the captain, I just gave them something they can believe in. I hold the lamp in the darkness, but they're the light that I needed to see the road that we walk in between the angels and demons. And my fans have my back. Hate us if your feelings don't like facts. And my fans will fight back. Beat you with the keyboard you've been using to write back. I guess we need each other like both sides of the battery. We the army, we the homies, we the gang, we the cavalry. We're brothers and sisters, we hold it down like we gravity. Can't nobody break the bond that made us all family.
Me and my fans, we don't care what anybody say. Middle fingers to whoever in the way, man. Me and my fans, we gon' be together till the grave. It's a game till forever and a day, man. Me and my fans, we don't even trip in the hate. We the I don't give a fuck in our veins, man. Me and my fans,
We the hangover gang. Gang, 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 gang.
Oklahoma weather can dish out some of the worst punishment in the world. Hi everyone, I'm Meteorologist Tuttle. But now you can fight back by installing Class 4 impact-resistant shingles from Ferguson Roof Systems. These shingles can withstand large hail, heavy rain, and hurricane-force winds, all while keeping your home safe and dry. And the best part? This upgrade is completely free for many homeowners. So call today to start reaping the benefits these Class 4 shingles bring, including a discount on home insurance. Only at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey you, glad to see you. Welcome back. Meteorologist Tuttle here with you. It's just a little over 10 minutes until 10 o'clock, so we're going to talk about the weather here. Kind of recap quickly for what happened today, but we're going to kind of focus on next week. It's gonna be ugly. Anyway, might as well start talking about it. We'll see what the future holds in the crystal ball. We'll see how clear it is, all that kind of stuff. So thanks for joining me. Kind of the right place. Let's see. I like it, Nancy. She's out there on YouTube saying, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up for all the hard work. I appreciate you and your support. Yeah, Sammy, you're on time. So thanks for joining me out there on YouTube. I see you guys out there also on Twitter, so welcome. And on Facebook as well. And several hundred of you have opted in to get my notifications directly from your instant messenger. So if you want to be in that group, I just posted the link. You can click on that and get that activated, and then you shall be good to go as well. All right, so let's get down to business. So the first thing I want to do is take a look here at last night's storm reports. Luckily, the storms behaved themselves, which is good. A lot of good rain, some thunder, lightning, that kind of deal. Probably some small hail at times and some gusty winds. But the only report, doesn't mean there wasn't more that happened. It was just the only one that was reported in, was a couple of mobile homes got damaged down here in Garvin County. Was it like one of those little, baby overnight QLCS type tornadoes? I don't know. Or just a straight line wind event, to be determined, but it happened between Pauls Valley and Ada. And that was really the only severe weather report. But if we kind of fast forward into the rest of today, the snow reports that came in varied quite a bit here across Oklahoma from the north. So out here in the Woodward area, there was some reports there, I believe around 3 inches. Up here near Fairview, there was a report of 2.5. Buffalo ended up with about 3 inches. Up here in northern Oklahoma, about 2.5 there, and between there and Medford. Blackwell, how about you guys? Up to about 3 inches in Ponca City, also about 2.5 inches. And once you kind of get out of this range, there were some pockets of heavier amounts, not on this map, but then once you got right over the border into Kansas, kind of amounts went up a little bit. There's 5 inches there north of Anthony. Also there east of there, and then even in Wichita, there was a couple of reports here around 5 inches that I did see on the report for around Wichita. And then the snowfall amounts just kept getting higher and higher once you moved out further to the east toward Kansas City, with amounts approaching an inch at times. So really good snow event, snowstorm for northern Oklahoma, and also for Kansas and Missouri. Now, we are in a drought, of course, so we desperately need some more rainfall. And we did make a little bit of a slight dent to this, but we need a lot more. And we'll get that for our rainy season once the spring starts. But it wasn't a good. It wasn't a bad event for us. So a lot of the little green areas represent anywhere from 1 to 1.5 inches of rain here along the I-44 corridor. A little bit heavier batch out here northwest, southeast, also due east, and everywhere else in between. Kind of an average of anywhere from 1/2 inch to about 1 inch of precipitation. So that was good. And like I said earlier, up here, the estimated observed snowfall totals from the National Weather Service, the highest amounts up here north and west. We did get, it's not shown on this map for some reason, I don't know why, but we did get a little bit of a dusting here of snow in Oklahoma City. I got just enough to post a picture, and that was about it. And the same can be said up the road toward Tulsa. So that map's a little incomplete, but it gives you the idea that the heavy stuff that's worth measuring was up north. If you look at temperatures out there this evening, it is cold. We are already into the 20s, 23 degrees, 20 degrees here around the greater Oklahoma City metro area. Same thing for Tulsa, 23 to 25 in the teens. So you can definitely tell where the snow was a little heavier, right? Because the temperatures are much cooler. Anywhere from, looks like almost 10 degrees colder in some cases. So that's where your heaviest snow amounts fell for today. And with the winds calming down, finally, wind chill values have come down to near zero, or have a difference, I should say. Now they're, of course, close to zero up here in northern Oklahoma because it's just much colder up there. So just any slight breeze will make that happen. Same thing for the panhandle. All right, so that's how things look currently. And that was a recap of our system for today. Now, what about the system in the future? Where is that coming from? What's it doing? We'll just take a look at the American model here as we go through time, and I'll show you a look at the jet stream patterns. We have one little system that comes in right there on Monday. So that might be a little bit of a light precipitation maker, sprinkles. If the cold air comes in time, maybe a little light mixture. We'll see. We'll show you temperatures here in a minute. But what comes after that is an interesting stretch here. We're kind of in a westerly flow. It's not exactly pure southwest, although it does have a little bit of a southwest component here starting on Tuesday. So it does transition from a west to southwest flow, and this is where it kind of starts the trend to get some more moisture in here, both the mid and the upper levels, and then kind of opens up the Gulf of Mexico a little bit for us to see some low-level moisture come in. As we head into Wednesday, you can see that upper level low out here to the west get cranking. So it's down this region here. The position is pretty decent for what it needs to do for that overrunning pattern to take shape in the upper levels. As we head into Thursday morning, it starts to make its way across New Mexico and Oklahoma, Texas Panhandle, and then on Thursday afternoon it comes overhead. Now, we are very far away, so I will caution you. What has happened here is this low has come down, right, and it looked pretty good, and then it started kind of moving to the north, and then it fizzled. So it ended up becoming a more of just a trough axis that comes through at the end of the system. The lead up, in this case, is much more potent than the final show. So in other words, it's a climax with no ending, which is really lame. Insert your jokes here. But the point being is this pattern can change. We have plenty of time to massage it out. So we can end up, the low can end up being here, it 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 could be closed or it can be open like this. So this is going to be a trend we'll have to look forward to in the data. But needless to say, that's the next system coming our way, and you can see the timing of that is toward the middle to the end of next week. After that, another little system here, but again, that's so far out. Could it be going down to Mexico, or could it be coming back into Texas and Oklahoma? Sure, why not? This far out is too early to tell. So in other words, the pattern still stays active, which means we're not finished with winter. All we need is some Arctic air to kind of sneak on in here. All right, so here's to take a look at that sneaking in of the Arctic air. So this is our first round here for today. It's why it was so gross out there for one day. Luckily, it moves out quickly. So, but you can see it's not far away. It's anchored up there in Kansas. If you read my blog, was it 2 weeks ago? You've known that this pattern for the second half of February is going to be quite cold for the northern half of the nation. It wouldn't be too far from Oklahoma. So let's go into Monday afternoon. This is a quick change. We do a quick rebound over the weekend, and then here's Monday in the afternoon and evening. We've got that front knocking on our door, already pressing through Kansas. And then here we go into Monday night into Tuesday morning. That Arctic front has already pressed through Oklahoma City, now heading down the rest of the state. And you can see how it starts to infiltrate Texas on Tuesday afternoon. And we're now into Wednesday. Okay, where is this? Well, you have to envision here, this little circular ring right here. This is the big Arctic high that air flows clockwise around a high. So this is the big Arctic high that's just anchored here across the Central Plains. Let's see if that's Thursday now we're heading into. If you notice, let's do this right here. This little pause here, there's a surface low right here quite strong. What that will tend to do also is bring in some warm and unstable atmosphere from the Gulf and override the shallow cold air mass. That usually spells an ice storm as well. Said the wrong word, didn't I? All right, so anyway, so there's Thursday morning, and now we're into Thursday afternoon. It's not going anywhere. I mean, it's going to be a brutal week. Monday is your highlight, and that's it. And then there's Friday. The cold air is still sitting here, but it starts to erode, starts to modify. And then as we head into the weekend, it's still cold, but at least it's not as brutal. Then it starts to move out. Is there another one that comes in? There's a little taste right there, just a glancing blow around the 28th of the month. There's another huge Arctic high right here, but it looks like most of it goes to our north and east, but we get a little piece toward the first week of March. So we're stuck in this pattern where this cold air can invade at any time on short notice. Okay, so what happens here? Let me go back in time. Let's go to Wednesday. All right, let's just take a snapshot Wednesday afternoon. So remember, we have the upper levels starting to become now more of a southwesterly flow. So what we're going to start to look for is moisture to return in this environment. So the dew point is green, the temperature is red, and when you see these two come close together, that's when you have saturation in the atmosphere. So this right here is very dry in the mid-level. So we haven't moistened up yet, but the upper levels definitely have. So they're saturated up here. That means the overhead jet stream is on top of us, and that's the beginning stages of a trickle-down effect to where we should moisten up the atmosphere with time. Again, that is on Wednesday. So now let's go forward. Now, again, this is the way out there, so it can be off by a day. This just gives us a general picture here. So let's go to Thursday morning, and we'll see. Now, the cold air continues to deepen at the surface. So sometimes you can get too cold, and I'll draw the 0 degree line in the atmosphere. So this is 0 degrees Celsius, goes all the way up on this line. So as long as the profile here is to the left of this line, that means it's all below freezing, which means all we would see is snow. Now, it does come up and touch it right here is one area of concern. And two, there's not a whole lot of lift at this particular time. So this all low-level saturation is mostly kind of a light freezing rain and drizzle type situation. So it's not exactly a good snowmaking event for us yet. Now, if I were to go down south into Dallas, for example, they're going to be closer to that surface low we showed you on the map. Let's see what happens with them. Oh, yeah. See this little nudge right here, this little bump that comes out? That's well above freezing this layer of the atmosphere. The rest of it's below. So that spells freezing rain for them. So that spells an ice storm if they can get the right kind of lift involved. It does seem to be missing a little bit. But we're going to take a look at some more data here in just a second and see what the outcome is going to be, as things can always intensify or change. Well, here's Thursday morning, final wrap around. Let's see what it does for us. So we're very saturated at the lowest levels, all below freezing. So it's got an atmospheric profile sounding for snow. And then down here into Texas, let's go back down to the Dallas-Fort Worth, North Texas area and see what they've got. They kind of cool just enough to get them into a sleet profile briefly from freezing rain. So it looks like more of an ice event for them, whereas we will likely see a mixture of some very light icing and then some snow. This is just based off of one model, and we are again a full 8 days away for this type of detail. I'll look at the German model to kind of see what it thinks. Here's Wednesday. Has one little system moving through, producing a little bit of light snow and some sprinkle activity, which will end up being freezing rain. So this has a Wednesday surprise for freezing rain. The other one did not, so hello. But when you get a southwest flow like that, this can happen. That's why you have to look at various models to get what the actual forecast is going to be, rather than just looking at one. But that's a pretty significant wave right there for Wednesday night, and it's out of there. And it's got some cold temperatures that work in too. Let me see what it does here. Just for fun, on the snowfall side of things, it does produce a little bit of snow here in central northeast Oklahoma, anywhere up to 5 inches. This is, by the way, this isn't going to verify. I'm just taking a look at it. For the precipitation type amounts, and speaking of pure precipitation, this model seems to dump about half an inch to maybe an inch equivalent. So if that were to be all ice, for example, that's a half inch to an inch of ice, which is an ice storm, which is a power outage problem again. So there you go. So that's why we have to take this storm system pretty seriously. For the snow event, like we looked at the American model, here's the European model. It does produce a little bit of snow for that next system, various places. The Canadian does a little bit here, but this might be contaminated with some sleet, which probably is. And then the GFS, the American, has got more snow, which is funny to me because we looked at the forecast sounding and it didn't look very supportive of this much snow. But the European, at least on the ensemble runs for Oklahoma City, is showing most of the runs. There's some blanks here where the members don't agree, but most of them do at least have a signal for some snow, but although very light. Typically when that happens, either the track is not good for us or it's because it sees more freezing rain, for example. So if we were to look at just some of the outputs for freezing rain this far out, like I said, we're looking at about half an inch here. Just on the north side of Dallas-Fort Worth, the Red River goes up to about an inch, maybe in some of these areas for southeast Oklahoma. And then same thing up to Arkansas and Missouri again. So if you've noticed this, does this look familiar? Did we not see this almost exact same output and pattern a couple weeks ago? So this looks to be a similar setup as the last one. If we look at the, that's from the European, by the way. The Canadian is much more to the south, into southern and southeastern Texas, almost completely keeps Oklahoma out of the mess. Of course, Arkansas gets hit from there. The American model is kind of in between, has a thinner corridor of some nasty stuff, but the amounts up here are about up to an inch, the worst case scenarios in southeastern Oklahoma, and then of course in Arkansas. And if you just to blend all the models together, which is a very conservative approach on the ice at this point in time, the take home would be just the positioning right now, and you can see how most of them favor this general area for North Texas, Central, Western Texas, Southeast Oklahoma, with just a little taste up here across the rest of the body of the state. And so right now that's the way it looks. If you were to zoom in, it looks something like this for heavier amounts down here in Southeast Oklahoma up to maybe a quarter of an inch. But this is, again, 8 days away, so these amounts will change 1,000 times between now and then, and the amounts will move around a little bit. But at least you now know kind of what's happening. Temperatures for tonight, the models are already going to bust. They do terrible with Arctic air, light winds, clear skies, which you already have, so they're gonna die horribly. So our temperatures are going to be much colder than what you see here on the map. Subtract about 10 degrees or so for these guys up here in the north, and subtract probably almost another 10 degrees here in central Oklahoma. We should be in the mid to upper teens tonight in Oklahoma City. But that's just a flaw that they sometimes have. But in the afternoon, though, we'll warm you up into the 40s out there across most of the state. There might be a couple of 30s hanging on way up northeast, and there might even be a 50 or so sneaking in out to the west. So at least tomorrow will be a lot better than today was. Now, if you do look at the overall forecast, I went with the European on this because it had the best potential temperatures for next week, even though I still think these are going to be wrong and probably still too warm. But at least it's got most of the day into the teens and 20s, whereas before they had a little too warm in the 30s for both Wednesday and Thursday. And so I said this could even be colder. You'll notice that big change in the temperature, though, as we head into Monday night when this front does come in, and that puts the kibosh on this beautiful Monday afternoon. Oh, man, it's going to be nice for President's Day holiday. All right, and then if you look down here, it does have the measurable snow of 2 inches here in Oklahoma City for the control group run, and also precipitation amounts about 0.3 tenths. So that's 3/10 of an inch, 0.3, so that's good for the drought. We'll have to see, of course, how much this ends up being some ice. Ice, baby. All right, so that's what it was. So this will be our first of many that we'll discuss for the storm system next week, and I'll probably hit it sometime over the weekend. I don't know if it'll be, I think Saturday I've got plans, so it'll have to be probably Sunday evening. I may or may not do one tomorrow evening, just kind of depends on what I got going on. But then for sure, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, we'll do lives for that in the evenings, and also if I can for your lunchtime updates, which is usually about a quarter till noon, somewhere right around there, and they're usually about 15 minutes long. I do a very abbreviated, short, in your face broadcast, no questions, no nothing, just vomit, and then I gotta go. So on my lunch break, so it'll be something like that. Otherwise in the evening we can talk a little bit more and I can expand upon some things. So let me just take a look, couple of your comments before I sign off here for tonight. YouTube. Guys are always having your little conversations going on with Jody, keeping her busy, I see. And Ron, yeah, I'm making it cold here, man. It's my fault. You can blame me. And, sometimes my plans, unfortunately, do not involve you, but it's just very rare. Most of the time they do. So hang in there, Jared. All right. Thanks again for the stars tonight. See you out there shooting me some, so I appreciate you. Let's see what else. I know, I don't want to say the word ice, but this pattern is typically an ice pattern. The Arctic air is always a booger. Let's see. A little bit more. All right. Temp for Sunday. I missed it. How about 60s? Does that sound good? Statewide 60s? And there'll probably even a few 70s sneaking in to the west and southwest. So a really good weekend, especially the latter part and then into Monday as well. So this Arctic air that we had today is, thank goodness, here one day, gone the next. Kind of like most of our snows. Samuel says a new GFS is coming in. I should go take a look at it. Well, I can, but it's probably not going to get to the time frame we need because it's pretty far out. But I can go pull it up real quick just to see. So Samuel's all over it. That's good though. Let's see. By the way, while I'm doing that, I didn't really interrogate the icon model this evening, so I want to go back and do that too. I want to see how it brings in the upper low. All right, so let's see here. So it's a southwest flow. Blah blah blah. Here comes the upper low. Oh, and it just shears apart and weakens. It's just like the American model. It looks good all the way up to this point. It's a closed low, like so. It's wrapped up, and then it opens up, and it just kind of comes in like this. And as it does, it... So that's why it actually had that precipitation earlier on for Wednesday. It kicks it out faster and weaker, and then it moves on by like that. So it's much more of a lame event for the final curtain call on that one. But we'll see. We got a whole week to see what kind of trends come out of that ejection of the pattern. All right, so where was my American model? It's this one. Okay, you know what? Since I'm waiting on that one because it's only it's only into 105 hours. It's not going to make it. I will look at the UK Met. It won't go out as far as I needed to, but I haven't looked at it, so I'm just going to just see what it's showing me. Same idea, southwest flow. So let me do this. 44. Let me see if there's any significant differences between the runs of the different models for the pattern. Okay, so there's UK Met, GFS, Canadian, European, and climate. So the Canadian is much faster, and it's less of a nice dig, less of a bowl. Let's see, the European is a little bit more to the west, so it's a slower route, and it's not too far from the UK Met, just a little bit to the west. And the UK Met and the American are pretty identical. So for the most part, they're all bringing this little system coming in with a very similar look. And then from here is where they're going to deviate how far south they go, if it goes into a closed low or not, or if it stays in open wave trough, and then the speed of the ejection from this point to our point. So that'll be the main difference we'll look for with time. But let me go to see what the Canadian did with it. Alright, so this guy comes in, so it had a completely weird look to it. And that first little piece right here never gets the closed low going, just ejects right across the Rockies and it's done. A piece behind stays there. It tries to wrap up and it doesn't do much either. This is a horrible look. This is a pathetic mess. This is nonsense. You know, that's the second time the Canadian has just been out to lunch on a nonsense pattern. Now, last week for this one, it eventually mellowed out a little bit, and the other ones kind of leaned a little toward it. So they all ended up kind of meeting in the middle, maybe middle to the right. They didn't go middle left of this type of a craziness. So I'm going to discount the Canadian again. I think it's too aggressive in that respect. The European, let's see what it does. All right, this guy comes over. Similar idea of little small piece ejecting across the Rockies, but it doesn't do anything to the back end. It tries to come in as a low across New Mexico, and then it ejects across Kansas, so it's actually a little bit more than north than the American model was. So it's not digging as far south. But it's still in a good position, though, for Oklahoma to get some good precipitation. So, devil's in the details. We can look at its forecast sounding. Let's see, there's Thursday. Let's go to Wednesday. I'm just going to pick Oklahoma City to see what it looks like. In theory. Let's try that again. There we go. All right. So it, and you won't be able to see this very well, this is the 0 degree line. So it butts up right against the line. So it has a mixture of sleet and snow as a result on Wednesday. Let me go to, let's see, 156. So we'll go to the next few hours after that to Thursday, midday. It has, it's got a little warm nose that snuck in here. That's a sleet deal. All right. And let's go to another 6 hours after that. Oh, we dried out already. It's already over. Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, and we've dried out. So that's interesting. All right, so let me go back. Freezing rain, drizzle, sleet. Any decent snow, sleet. Freezing rain, drizzle, sleet and snow. So I'm just looking at the forecast profile sounding of the atmosphere. Here's Wednesday. We haven't moistened up yet in the midday hours. So it has basically a 24-hour window from Wednesday afternoon through Thursday afternoon of a little bit of everything. A little bit of sleet, a little bit of snow, a little bit of freezing rain and drizzle. But it looks like light amounts overall. But we'll see. So that's what the European had. Like I said, the newest Canadian, it's only out to 126 hours, looks like. Let's take a look. Okay, interesting. So what I'm going to do is I want to compare what this looks like compared to its prior run to see what it did. All right. Okay, so for the last, let's see, so that's the most recent run, time before, time before, time before, time before. So in the last 24 hours, it's been very consistent on this placement out here across California, which is a little tiny bit south of where the Euro was, so it's very similar to the Euro, the European, so it's, let's see what happens. So this is not the sexy part of the forecast. This is just where I sit here and analyze the data until I'm blue in the face. I do a lot of comparisons to get an idea on what I think the final outcome will be, if it can be determined, at X amount of time far out. And this far out, you can't, but it's just fun to look to. You have to do a mental deal, then you can just track the trends and the changes, and then you know what the outcome would be given this setup. Question is, the outcome change any at all? And if it doesn't, well, then you've already got your forecast made from today, February 17th, and you leave it that way until something changes the jet stream pattern that's going to cause it to get shoved one way or the other. Kind of like the system for today. Same, it was a pattern setup recognition. Okay, we know it. It's standard, typical. Now the question is, where is the line in the sand that you have to draw for the measurable snow versus the non-measurable snow? And it was that I-44 corridor, which is always a trouble spot because it cuts right through Oklahoma City and Tulsa. So it's feast or famine sometimes on that deal. And each run that came out kept having to nudge the measurable snow a little bit more and more north until we ended up with just barely, maybe an inch if we were lucky. And that was a sad forecast. That's the way it goes. But it snowed to beat the band up north. If you're traveling it, you know about it. It was a mess. All right, so let me see. That's going to be it. David says gig 'em. So gig 'em right back at you, buddy. Gig 'em Maggie. So, all right, that's it for me. I'm going to get out of here. Thanks again for following, liking, sharing, all that kind of stuff. May do one tomorrow evening. I'm not sure, but we'll definitely see you Sunday evening. So make it a plan to join me here at 9:30. And then also next week for a couple times each day as the system moves in. And we'll see what happens with it. Guys, get some sleep. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Talk soon. Take care.